Hi everyone, my topic is about the credit card fraud detection. And we all know that nowadays the credit card usage is increased frequently due to the digital marketing and the digital payments and the growth of an online shoppings and the e-commerce services. Along with the increasing the digital transaction, the credit card fraud has become a major problem for the banking and banks and the customers. The fraud detection transactions can be lead to a financial loss, identifies the thieves and security the risk, and a cloud based fraud detection system helps to monitor the transactions in a real time and identify the suspicious behaviors automatically. And the purpose of the system is analyzing the transaction details such as amount, transaction frequency and the information and the location. And based on the predefined detection rules, the system classifies that the transaction has safe or fraud. And if the fraud transaction is detected, the system generates the instant alert through the message or the emails to the user, and all transaction recorded and alerts and securely stores in a cloud database using the MongoDB Compass. And the fundamental requirement for the credit card fraud detection is user authentication, user registration and the login details, and JWT based authentication and security password expectations, and transaction management. Add and transaction stores the and add new transaction and stores the transaction details in a MongoDB, and views the recent transactions and displays the status. Fraud detection. The system should mark the transaction as a fraud if the amount exceeds more than the 50,000 or more than one transaction within a 1 minute, and the transaction location changes automatically within a seconds, and the merchant is detected, otherwise the transaction is marked as a safe. And the alert system, by through the if the fraud has been detected, then the alert system sends an a fraud email for the users and the SMSs and pop up the warning notification. And the dashboard, in dashboard we can see that the displays the total transaction, total fraud and the total number of safe transaction is done and the total amount is transaction done through that card. And problem analysis of this is the traditional banking system may not immediately detect the suspicious transaction. Fraud transactions can happen within a seconds, so that leads to the loss of an financials, and before the manual invention of this is possible. And the common problem are the delay of an fraud detection, lack of an instance alerts, and the insecurity transaction monitoring, and the difficult in tracking the suspicious activities. Highly depends on the manual verification. Therefore, there is a need for an automatic cloud-based fraud monitoring system that can be identifies the suspicious transactions quickly and send an notification to the users immediately. And next is the, and our website works like an, first user has to log in through their email ID and the password, and later in a front end there is the React.js and applications. It works as the, it takes the input from the users and later it sends to the backend, and in a backend it will checks whether the user credentials is valid or not, and later they can take input as the what is the amount and the transaction card details and the user name and amount, location, who's and the merchant name. And if the transaction is the valid inputs, then it is marked as the safe. If not any suspicious transaction, if the suspicious things has been noticed by the system, it will marked as an fraud, so that if the fraud is detected, then it will send an pop-up notification to the users to alert the user that fraud is happening on their account or the card. And last thing, the cloud-based credit the cloud-based credit card fraud detection and alert system is a moderate and the secure web application. The web developed using the cloud computing technology and all full stack and the web developed framework. The system successfully detects the suspicious credit card transaction using the rule based fraud detection and the method, and sends an instant alerts to the user. The project determines the practical implementation of an authentication REST APIs and the cloud-based fraud detection, monitoring, and the responsive dashboard design. Thank you.